What's up YouTube, this is my Standard X79 guys. Today I'm coming to you with my latest deck profile video for April 2020. And today guys, we're going to be looking at my Blue Eyes White Dragon deck. Blue Eyes, if you've seen my channel before, you know it's my favorite monster of the entire series. I've always had a deck built around it, whether when I just started collecting with the first Kaiba starter deck, building it up during the years. Any new Blue Eye support came out, it went into the deck, and eventually got to play some of the more recent variants. And I can tell you right now, out of them all, I'm actually liking the rank 8 variant the best. You don't have to worry about all these long combo strings with the Dragon Link variants. Rank 8 is just getting big body monsters onto the field, going into your rank 8 Xyz monsters, and building even more fields to bash your opponent with. Straight line, simple, clean, brute force to win the game. That being said, Renegade definitely, in my opinion, is the best version of Blue Eyes White Dragon. And without further ado, we're jumping right into this. So, first and foremost, no good Blue Eyes White Dragon deck is worth its salt without 3 copies of the OG vanilla beat stick Blue Eyes White Dragon. This card pretty much helps you do everything in this deck. You can synchro summon with it, you can exceed summon with it, you can link summon with it, you can even attack with it. So it is worth every grain of salt for this deck, and definitely you need to run 3. Next up, only 2 copies of Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon. The primary reason why I run 2 over 3 is basically because with 2, you're more likely to open up a hand with vanilla, add an alternative, and get onto the field ASAP. With 3, you run the risk of actually opening up with 2 alternatives and bricking very hard. And because of that, I just decided that it's always good to run 2 alternatives to 3 vanillas. And I can tell you right now, I've been talking to a lot of other players, and a lot of other players are actually agreeing 2 to 3 ratio is the best ratio for this deck. Moving forward, we have Dragon Spirit White. Always counts as a Blue Eyes card, which is awesome, very easy to get out. Counts as a vanilla in hand and in graveyard. Also very important, depending on how you take out your deck. On summon, it banishes a spell or trap card off your opponent's field, which is very good, especially for those decks that require those certain spells and traps to be on field. And if your opponent still has a monster on the field, you can tribute it or special summon out a Blue Eyes White Dragon right from your hand. So, always worth to have at least 1 there in your deck. Next up, for some more level 8 dragons, we have Candace Dragon Legionnaire. Candace Dragon Legionnaire requires you to banish 3 monsters from the graveyard. They have to be light, dark, or a combination of both. If you banish all lights, you get to extend by bringing back a monster from your graveyard onto your field into defense position. You banish all dark, you get to spin a card off your opponent's field back to their deck. And if you do a mix, doesn't really matter what the ratio is, you get to pop 2 cards off your opponent's field, which is very awesome. Again, it also is level 8 to fit in with the rank 8 engine. It has 3,000 attack, which allows you to be able to search it out with Melody of the Awakening Dragons. 2 copies of Galactic Spiral Dragon. This guy puts in so much work in this deck. Basically, as long as you control a light and or dark attribute, 2 light and or dark attribute dragons on the field, you can special summon this guy from your hand or your graveyard. He banishes himself when he leaves the field. However, you really don't have to worry about it because you're basically building up your board to go into Xyz. So if you detach him after he's in the season material, he goes to the graveyard. So you can keep reusing him over the course of the duel. Not only that, but his second effect does come in handy a lot during your duel because you can change every monster on your field until level 8. Opening up your rank 8 plays and even opening up an interesting line of synchro plays as well. So definitely, you want to be seeing him in your opening hand and getting him into the graveyard ASAP. Next up, Omni Dragon Brotor. Pretty standard Dragon tech. Whenever one of your monsters is destroyed by battle or card effect, he's in the hand or your graveyard, you can special summon him back by discarding a card. Very cool. On summon, he can actually target a dragon type monster and search your deck for another dragon type monster of the same attribute. So if he targets himself, you get to search a dark attribute. If you target a light attribute, you get to search a light attribute. Also very cool. And not only that, but you can target himself and search out this guy right here. Red Eyes, Darkness Metal Dragon. Darkness Metal Dragon, what can I say? Still MVP in pretty much any dragon deck that can run him. To get him onto the field, you have to banish a dragon off your field. But once he's on there, his 2800k attack, plus the ability to special summon another dragon from your hand or your graveyard, definitely comes in handy because he just helps you extend. For the non-dragon type monsters, we are running 3 copies of Danger Thunderbird. Primary reason why we run Thunderbird over any other Dangers in this deck is because Danger Thunderbird is a wing beast, and by combining a wing beast and a dragon type monster, you can actually go into your Romulus play, which is very important for this deck as well. So definitely 3 of. If he's discarded to the graveyard, you get the pop back row, which is great because there are some back row heavy decks out there. And if you're able to summon them, you get to draw a card to keep your hand advantage going. So very good. Next up, we have 3 copies of Sage with Eyes of Blue. Sage, very awesome. On normal summon, you get to search your deck for a level 1 light attribute tuner. However, a lot of players like to hold on to Sage and use its discard effect. You discard the card, target a effect monster, and then send that effect monster to the graveyard. You get the special summon a Blue Eyes monster right from your deck to your field. So yeah, you get a lot of different ways to actually get your plays going. Alright, and for the other level 1 light tuners, I run 3 copies of Whitestone with Ancients. Basically, anytime this card hits the graveyard, you're basically summoning a Blue Eyes monster from your deck to your field during your end phase. While this card's in your graveyard, you can actually banish this card to actually return a Blue Eyes monster from your graveyard back to your hand, just in case you have an alternative in there. You can bounce back to vanilla so you can actually get them out. So there's a play right there. And then last but not least, we do run 1 copy of Whitestone of Legend. Anytime this card is sent to the graveyard, you are basically searching your deck for vanilla Blue Eyes. That's it for the mostly the Blue Eyes support. I am running 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring in this deck, primarily because it does help run interference during your opponent's turn. It's just a great overall hand trap and should be included in pretty much every deck because every deck surges nowadays. Moving forward, we have 1 copy of Dragon Ravine. Dragon Ravine, basically you discard a card and then you're able to send a dragon type monster from your deck to your graveyard, which is very awesome. Load your graveyard with a couple monsters and be able to go off later, so that's actually very good. And then of course, if you're not done with loading your graveyard, you also have 2 copies of Dragon Shrine and 1 copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial will send any monster to the graveyard, while Dragon Shrine only sends dragon type monsters to the graveyard. Cool thing about Dragon Shrine is if you send a vanilla monster first, you get to send an additional dragon, so you get to thin your deck up a little bit more. To be very honest, if you want to drop Foolish Burial and run 3 Dragon Shrine, the deck will still function the way it does. So it's really up to personal preference right here. Foolish and 2 Dragon Shrine are pretty much the standard. 1 copy of Monster Reborn to help get your monsters out of your graveyard, or even still a monster out of your opponent's graveyard. 2 copies of Return of the Dragon Lords. Very important card in this deck because it gets you level 8 dragons back onto the field. And while this card's in the graveyard, if your dragon type monsters will be destroyed, you can just banish it and protect them. So yeah, you get that extra layer of protection in your graveyard. Very awesome. And the last recovery card is Silver Scry. This can get your vanillas or even your Dragon Spirit of White back onto the field during your opponent's phase or turn, so you can actually banish important spells or traps with Dragon Spirit of White, or just get an additional big body on board to pummel your opponent. 1 copy of 1-for-1, pitch a big monster, get 1 of your level 1 monsters out onto the field, specifically your stones. And last but alright, next card I'm running is 1 copy of World Legacy Guard Dragon. I kind of like to have this card in my deck, primarily because you can return any of your smaller dragons back to the field, specifically the level 1 tuners, and that just helps out getting an additional dragon monster on the field for Galactic Spiral's Serpent. And from there, you can actually just turn it into level 8 and go into those aforementioned synchro plays. And then we have 2 copies of Melody of the Awakening Dragon. To be very honest, 3 blue eyes, 2 alternatives, 1 living in the air. There's only 6 targets, so I can't justify a third one. 2 copies is more than enough to get what you need. And then last but not least, we are running a ton of level 8s. 3 copies of Trading definitely puts in heavy work. Pitch at level 8, you get to draw 2 cards out of your deck and deeper into your deck. Alright. Next up for the extra deck, we have 1 copy of Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon does a whole lot with his effects. While it's in the field, it pretty much shuts down all activated effects in your graveyard. I mean, in your opponent's graveyard, which is huge. Prevents your opponent from special summoning multiple monsters at once. And then, of course, it has an effect where you can tribute itself, so you can get out another white tribute dragon type monster onto your field. Unfortunately, the monster destroys itself at the end of its turn, but with the cards I have in this deck, you won't have to worry about it, because we have 1 copy of Azure Eyes Silver Dragon. Basically, while this card's on face up on your field, during your standby phase, you get to special summon a vanilla monster from your graveyard back to your field. Very good to get Dragon Spirit of the White back onto the field, or another Blue Eyes to further your plays. Also, when this card is summoned to the field, it protects all dragons from being destroyed by any card effects. So it kind of gets around Spirit Dragon's destruction effect, which is very awesome. The other light attribute monster we have is Stardust Spark Dragon. Spark Dragon has an effect that can protect any card on the field from being destroyed, including itself, so you can actually use this effect to protect itself from being destroyed by Spirit Dragon's effect. Also, it is a level 8 monster, so you can further your rank 8 plays as well. And for the interesting line of synchro plays, we have the Zolkin lineup in this deck. Zolkin, you need a tuner monster and a non-tuner monster of the same level, which is very awesome. If you especially can get a level 1 tuner plus a Galactic Spiral on the field, use Galactic Spiral's effect, turn the tuner into level 8, and boom, you can go into Zolkin. Zolkin always an awesome card, because as long as you control a level 8 synchro monster, your opponent cannot touch it, can't destroy it. Very huge. And of course, we always sort of start a Spark Dragon in this deck, but we can also turn around and go into Crystal Ring Synchro Dragon for a little extra monster effect negation. Or we also have Chaos Ruler in this deck. Chaos Ruler is actually very awesome because it is a level 8 monster, dragon type monster, that can basically bring itself back out of the graveyard by banishing a dark and light monster from your graveyard and or your hand. And since it's level 8, you can build into your rank 8, so you can also abuse this card as well. So now for the awesome rank 8s. The key card in the rank 8 engine is going to be this card, number 97, Dragulibion. I know I butchered that. Basically what you do is you detach a material and then you target 2 number dragon type monsters in your graveyard. 1 becomes an overlay unit for the other. Alright? And depending on whether you're going first or second, really depends on how you want to set up your board. So, first you summon this guy. And if you're going first, you want to basically use number 100 as an overlay unit for number 92, because number 92 is just insane, because you can detach a material and then basically any monster or card your opponent normal summons, special summons, or sets gets banished. That is just insane. It just busts boards. It can get around back row, especially if you use it during your opponent's end phase. So it's definitely worth it. The other card you want to have alongside it is right there, number 38, Hope Harbinger Titanic Dragon Galaxy. Can negate spell cards just to give your opponent extra problems. And also redirect attacks. Which means you can actually redirect attacks off of it or Dragon to this guy, because whenever your opponent ever attacks number 92, they're taking the damage. Now, if you happen to be going second, you're going to flip the middle, make number 100 your goal, and then you're also going to go into Cipher Dragon and Full Armor Full Time Dragon. The primary reason why I'm only stopping at Full Armor is basically it's a 4K attack monster. And not only that, but when you activate number 100's effect, it gains 1,000 attack for every rank that's on the field. You have 2 rank 8s plus a rank 1. That's 17 ranks, so it gets 17,000 attack. At that point, it doesn't really matter what your opponent has. If they have a 3K attack point monster, or a 4K attack point monster, or even a 5K, they're taking over 10,000 points of damage to the face when that card attacks. So definitely, that's a great board going second, especially if you can get the pop of Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon as well as Alternative off during a turn, just to help break up the boards. And of course we have some link plays. I already mentioned Romulus. Romulus, you use Danger the Bird plus any Dragon type monster to get him out. On summon, he searches your deck for Dragon Ravine. This to help thin out your deck. We have Heraldic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. This guy is so important for the deck. Basically, you tribute this guy off. He will turn around and bounce a card off your opponent's field. Compulsory activation device effect, very good. And then special summon out another monster to your field. Of course, the attack and defenses are bottom up. Typically, you're aiming to get Red Eyes Darkness Smell Dragon out into the field just to be able to extend. And last but not least, since we are able to bring back some level 1 monsters, we have Link Ribble just to be able to bottom out your opponent's attack, monster's attack, as well as be able to swing into your opponent hard. So always worth it in your deck, especially if you can get level 1s out. Alright guys, that is it for my Blue Eyes deck profile for April 2020. I do hope you guys enjoy it. If you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. Enable notifications so you don't miss any uploads. If you guys want to turn around and further this deck build, check out one of my affiliates, SideDeckVersus.com, to help build you an awesome side deck, whether you're going into virtual events or real life events. And if you want to build this deck in real life, check out my TCG Player affiliate link. Help support the channel. Also guys, the invite link for my Discord server is in the description box below. Join the conversation. We'll love to have you. Follow me on social media. And as always, until next time guys, peace.